Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I've learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And it's a meditation day, surprise, and I have 5 meditation books sitting right here, so I haven't read any of these today. It's November 14th. We're going to shuffle these up a little bit, and then I am just going to pull one and see... Ooh, meditations for living in balance, daily solutions for people who do too much. And we're gonna see what the universe is telling us, which always kind of makes me a little nervous when I read these on video, because I'm like, I have no idea what the universe might be telling me today. Okay, let's see. November 14th, celebrating complexity. The intellect has little to do on the road to discovery. There comes a leap in consciousness, all of it intuitive, or what you will, and the solution comes to you, and you don't know how or why. Albert Einstein. We human beings are such a marvelous mixture of processes, energies, and forces that to try to reduce us to simplistic ideas and processes is idiocy indeed. We are not machines. We will never be machines. Regardless of how sophisticated science becomes, it will never be able to emulate the complexity of a simple human being. Today is a good day to celebrate our complexity and our unreasonableness. There are times when we are not understandable to ourselves or anybody else. So be it. Isn't it great? We are not understandable. We are too complex to be completely understood. We are a conundrum. We are a paradox. We are a mystery. We are unfathomable. We are great. This day, take a giant step forward, or take a giant step toward enjoying your complexity. I think that's such an interesting meditation, and you know, like, I just always, whenever I read these, go right to whatever I'm thinking about in my head. And there's a scene from the movie Texasville, which is the sequel to The Last Picture Show with Sybil Shepherd and Jeff Bridges. If you've never seen it, it's fantastic. And Texasville is like 20 years later, and Annie Potts is Jeff Bridges' wife in the movie, and he's gotten like really rich from like this oil rig and stuff, and they live in this small town. I think it's called Texasville. So anyway, there's a scene when she's laying in bed and she's got her leg up and the fan is on and it's like really hot, and he comes into the room and he said something to her like, something's different about you. And she said, Boo Radley's wanting up here. And she said, what do you mean something's different about me? And he said, something's different about you, I don't know what it is. And she said, I change all the time. She said, women change all the time, 100 times a day or something like that, and you don't even notice it. And he just kind of looks at her. But, you know, I think it's true for all of us. I think that we're constantly changing and evolving and learning from new things, you know? And I don't know that I'm the same person right now that I was when I woke up this morning. Things have happened, things have changed. And you know, the thing is that I have a right to, like my good Judy, my best friend Tanya says this a lot, you know? I have the right to change my opinion at any time that I want to. You know, like I might feel a certain way about something and 5 minutes later completely change my mind and feel a different way about it. And I have that right as a human being. We are complex people that constantly, Radley, he's back there digging his hole up. You know, we are complex people whose opinions change over time. And you know, like what we like might change from minute to minute, and how we are and all that kind of stuff. And you know, we're a mystery. And I think like it's interesting that, you know, something that I was like really interested in a year ago, like I have no interest in now, you know? And we are constantly changing and evolving and becoming new people throughout the day even, you know? And it's like, how many times have you woken up throughout the day, and when you woke up in the morning you felt one way and by the evening you felt another, you know? And good to bad and bad to good, you know, sometimes. A lot of times often when we wake up on the wrong side of the bed, and then, you know, throughout the course of the day, it's kind of like, okay, my day has gotten better, and we can recognize that, you know? And we're ever evolving, mysterious people. And I think sometimes, you know, one of the hardest things of my life has been trying to explain to other people how I feel in my head. And often when I do, I'm so misunderstood that I wish I had never tried to start to begin with. I don't know if that makes any sense, probably not. But you know, I used to say it to my mom, and she was like one person that really got it. And I would say to my mom, you know, like, I just feel like I have these feelings inside that I don't know how to put words to, you know, of how I'm feeling about a certain situation or whatever. And she'd say, I totally understand it. Look at Boo Radley, isn't he so funny? And, you know, and it's hard. It's hard when you have these feelings and these emotions inside, and you want somebody else to understand it, because you want to have a conversation with somebody. You want somebody to validate your feelings or your emotions or whatever, and then they just don't get it. You just can't explain to somebody else what you're going through or what your perspective is, because each of our perspectives is unique and individual to who we are as people. So anyway, I think that's a really great meditation, and I think it's also about celebrating our differences, our individuality, and who we are as unique human beings. What? I know, Boo Radley. Okay, let's read the next meditation, The Daily Book of Positive Quotations by Linda Picone. Let's see what it has to say, November 14th. So if you didn't know, I haven't talked about this, I think maybe in a vlog I have, but so Boo and Tucker are Papateases. They're half Papillon, half Maltese, and they talk. And so it's like one of the traits of Papateases is that they talk. And so like throughout our house, they'll be like, it like happens throughout the day. It's really hilarious. And they do it to each other. Well, you can't see right now. Here, I should show you. Tucker, like this is literally Tucker every time I do a meditation video. He just lays right there and watches his dad do videos. Is that not so hilarious? And Pee-Pee is right next to me on my left. So, but they talk to each other and they'll like walk around and they'll wrestle and stuff. It's very, very cute. Okay, November 4th, which has nothing to do with this video, but November 14th, inaction. Throughout history, it has been the inaction of those who could have acted, the indifference of those who should have known better, the silence of the voice of justice when it matters most, that has made it possible for evil to triumph. Haile Selassie. A very few people can do very great harm if the rest of us just sit back and let them. When we're not the ones being directly harmed, it's especially easy to rationalize an action. Okay, we don't like what's happening, but what can we do? It doesn't affect us anyway, right? Just as it only takes a small number doing harm to bring evil into the world, it only takes a small number actively resisting to stop them. It's not enough for me to be good to others. I need to stand up to those who harm others. You know, that's an interesting meditation, I think. And I'm thinking a lot in just like different settings that I've had in my life, you know. There was a movie that I love, and the movie is called Marie. I don't know if anybody has ever seen it. I can't remember what her name is, but it's like Marie Rongetti or something like that. And she worked for, I think it was the state of Tennessee. And there was like, do you guys know what I'm talking about? Sissy Spacek was in it. It was a fantastic movie. I'm like referencing all these movies. But anyway, and there was like this whole situation that was going on where people were buying pardons and clemencies. This was in the 80s, right? And she had a friend of hers that they had gone to like law school or something together. And he said to her, like, she was like, I have to do something about this, because she knew like what was going on. And he said, evil flourishes when good men do nothing. And it's like a philosophical quote. I can't remember by who. But I always loved that quote, you know, and because I think it's true that evil flourishes when good men do nothing. The problem is it's not often popular, okay, to do that. And, you know, I think that when you do want to stand up for what's right or what's good, that often that it gets turned against you, or, you know, like it isn't a popular opinion. I think it's like why when I was growing up and I was being bullied, there would always be in any group, okay, of who I was being bullied by, there'd always be that one person that would be like afterwards would be like, I'm really sorry, you know, but like they wouldn't stand up in front of their friends and do anything because they didn't want to be isolated. They didn't want to be ostracized as well. I didn't understand it so much then, but I guess I do now. That's asking a lot, I think, of kids to have such hard skin and such tough skin, you know, to want to be ostracized to helping one other person. And, you know, but I've witnessed that in work environments. I've witnessed that in friend groups. I've witnessed it, you know, in lots of places. It's not just there. You know, today I'm not that person, and I'm only talking about in my personal life today, you know. When I see things that are going on with my friends or whatever, you know, if something's happening, I'm like, hey, you know what, that's just not cool. Like, let's just, you know what I mean? And you know, I think that if people don't like me because of how I feel inside, that I'm standing up for doing something that I feel like needs to be said or done, then that's okay. You know, another movie, The Contender. Do you see I take a lot from pop culture? But The Contender is one of my favorite movies of life. And I can't think of what the woman's name is that's in it, but she's up to be a Supreme Court Justice. And in the movie, and I think it's Jeff Bridges, actually, that plays the president in that movie. But anyway, there's like a scandal that occurs. I don't want to ruin it for anybody. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely see it. It's called The Contender. There's a scandal that occurs, and she's accused of something that could keep her from becoming a Supreme Court Justice. And she never says, I didn't do it. She never says, like, I wasn't there, I didn't do it, or whatever, right? And at the end, it's proven, not because she comes out with it, because of a third party, that there was no truth to it. And he says to her, and I love this so much, okay? And it is so applicable to so many parts of my life. Okay, Boo Radley. He says to her at the end, when they asked you, why didn't you just tell them the truth? And she said, it was never theirs to ask to begin with. And I love that line, right? Because so many people feel that it is their place to be able to ask things about your life. And it's not. It's your life. And you don't owe answers to anybody except for yourself. And the other line from the movie that is my all-time favorite, probably quote of life, besides Janis Joplin's, is all just the same effing day, man, is that in it, she says to him, after she says that, she looks at him and she says, principles only mean something if you stick to them when they're inconvenient. And I think that's hard when we look at our lives, you know, to stick to our principles, and in times that it's not easy to stick to our principles, that, you know, people aren't going to necessarily like us if we stick to our principles in those moments. But I think that it's a truism, you know, and it's one of the things I've really been practicing in the last year, is to stick to the principles that mean the most to me, you know, and those have changed over time. My principles today are not the same principles I had a year ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago. They've changed over time, you know, and some that meant nothing to me a year ago mean a lot to me today. You know, like loyalty and friendship is something to me today that has always meant something to me, but maybe I think I took it for granted with certain friends in my life. And, you know, today it is something to me that is just like, it's diehard, you know? So, all right, you want to read one more? Boo Radley is like, I went back up in the chair, Dad. Okay, Boo Radley jumped up here and I was getting ready to read the next meditation. So, the next meditation that I am going to read is from Time to Be Free, Daily Meditations for Enhancing Self-Esteem, November 14th. For many years, when anyone said, I love you to me, I would become flustered. I didn't know whether to respond by saying thank you. Welcome to my life. Okay. I didn't know whether to respond by saying thank you, by repeating I love you too, or by asking why. It was hard for me to believe that anybody could truly feel that way about me. Love was never expressed and seemed to be rarely felt during my growing up years. As a result, I didn't have the chance to learn how to give it, how to receive it, or even what love really was. I certainly never learned how to nurture it or build on it. I know today that the lack of love in my home left me with the feeling that I was unlovable and without much value. I entered adulthood with the conviction that people were basically cold and ungiving. In early recovery, paradoxically, I relied on other people to convince me that I was deserving of love and capable of loving. Their unwavering acceptance and encouragement spoke volumes about my lovability and value. As time went on, I found ways to reparent myself, so to speak, to give myself the love and affection that my parents had been unable to give. Thought for today, I am fully deserving of love. That's a hard meditation for me. I did not have that experience. I came from, 2, 3, because of my stepmother, very, very loving and compassionate, affectionate parents. Who told me they loved me, many times, several times a day, every day, and showed it in their actions as well, and that didn't mean that there weren't boundaries set. That didn't mean that there, wasn't a discipline that I received, because there were. I talk a lot about my mom's, alcoholism, but that being said, I have been blessed to have 2 of the most amazing parents and a step-parent that one could ever wish for. And one of the greatest things that they did for me was, even though they didn't necessarily have great passion for each other after they got separated and divorced, they continued to parent on the same page forever, out of their love for me, which I'm so thankful for, because I see a lot of that kind of like hatred pull parents apart. And I'm always like, you know what? The kids are the ones that suffer. I hope you realize that. Like, that's really sad to me, So I don't know. I don't really, I haven't had that. And I had my aunt and uncle, and like family friends that just were always like, I don't know, I grew up in that very kind of like huggy, affectionate, loving, I love you, and hey, like just always in words of encouragement. And if I was getting, put on a puppet show, they were going to watch it, you know what I mean? And, they'd bring me books that they wanted me to read, and they just were, these people were invested in me as a human being. And I think that goes above and beyond just saying I love you to somebody. I think it's showing like I'm invested in you. I spend time with you. I want to know what you're doing. Like, adult friends of my parents, like actually sitting across from a dinner table at a restaurant being like, so Peter, tell me about your day today at school. What was it like? They really wanted to know, And I have been blessed to have many, aunt, mother, uncle figures in my life. So I feel so blessed for that, you know? And I really do feel like one of the things that is lacking today is our respect for our elders. Like, I grew up with a real respect for my elders, you know, that we call people Mr. and Mrs. and things like that. There were only a few of my parents' friends that I ever was allowed to call by their first names. So anyway, I don't know. You know, I did not grow up with that lack of love, but I will tell you that I have met many people in my life, many in recovery, that really struggle with that idea of, you know, like, I love you, and telling somebody that, you know, like, whatever, and they just kind of look at you strange. And, you know, I remember back in the dating world, my husband was like this too, you know, when people would say, like, I never say to somebody I love you till after I've been with them for a year. And I was like, oh, really? So 366 days? Like, that proves that you love somebody? Like, can you explain that to me? And I'm kind of like this. Like, I'm very insta-love. So, like, if I'm with somebody and I'm with them for a couple days, and I'm like, I can spend the rest of my life with this person, which I was with my husband, then I know that I'm not wasting my time, and I fall in love very, very quickly. And there's a difference between being in love and loving somebody. But I really think that love as an adult is about self-love, and it's about self-worth and self-value. At the end of my vlog every single day, I say the same thing, because I know some people it drives them crazy, but I say it. And I look at it and I say, if nobody else told you this today, I love you. Make sure that you look at yourself in the mirror every single day and tell yourself, I love you, you are valuable, you are worthy, and you are important. And most importantly, make sure that you pass it on to somebody else and let them know how important they are to you. It is a cycle that we have to do, right? And the cycle is this, and this is exactly what this meditation is talking about. It's about first believing that A, you are lovable, believing that you are loved, at least even by yourself, and C, allowing that love to pass on to somebody else. And it's a cycle. And when we do that, then we live from a point of love. Have you ever met people that live from a point of love? They're beautiful human beings. They're calm and peaceful and serene. And those people are role models for me in my life. You know, I think when I was maybe in high school, people that were role models for me were people that were rock star types or rebels or whatever, you know, and as I got, you know, into my early 20s, people that were role models to me were people that had $1 million in the bank and were very successful and seemed to have these great lives, or they travel a lot. People that are role models for me today are people that live lives of serenity and calm and live from a place of love. Because I do think that when you live from a place of love, anything is possible. Anyway, I love you guys, and I hope you enjoyed those meditations, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.